All right, joining us now, Alabama Senator, Armed Services Committee member, Senator Tommy Tuberville. Mr. Tuberville, as always, sir, it's a wonderful pleasure to see you. I want to talk to you about all these crazy bills and taxes and stuff, but what do you make of this episode with Jay Powell and Lael Brainerd being appointed today? A lot of wokeness is in the air. Inflation's a pretty big problem. What you thinking, sir?
We talked about it, about a month ago, Larry, and, it's the best alternative. But what Jay Powell are we going to get? We're going to get the Jay Powell that believes in lower taxes and somebody that's going to try to get inflation under control, or are we going to have somebody that's going to listen to President Biden? And what worries me about all of this is he's a Republican. And this inflation, especially here in Alabama, is out of sight. And it's getting worse every day. It's not going to get any better. And, he's going to have to make some serious decisions. And who's going to get the blame? It's going to be Jay Powell. And he's going to blame him. And then he's going to probably move to his second pick in the short period of time. But we'll find out what Jay Powell we're going to get, what game plan he's got. He's going to have to quit spending money. This quantitative easing is going to have to ease up. And if it doesn't, we're going to be in huge trouble.
All right. Thank you on that. Now, let's turn to this budget, this fabulous budget that passed the House in a close vote Friday morning after what I thought was one heck of a good speech by Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. There's just so much bad in here, and I just want to run down some of the things. From the Wall Street Journal editorial today, Senator, they called it the kamikaze Democrats, that this is such an awful budget. Republicans are going to take the House, probably the Senate, too. And Nancy Pelosi has led them down the primrose path. But here's one that is off the charts, the immigration stuff. Now, they've got welfare for immigrants. They've got amnesty for immigrants, as you know, and they've got sort of illegal reparations, $450,000 for families that were split up. The Senate parliamentarian has ruled most of this stuff out of order, maybe not all of it. What you thinking about this? I don't know how this could get through the Senate.
Well, she took everything in the kitchen sink and just threw it at this bill. She wanted it off her desk. She wanted to, I guess, have a good Thanksgiving, but she put everything in there that a lot of it's not going to pass the Senate. A lot of these moderate Democrats are going to say no. Then it's got to go back to the House. The one that gets me is the $8 billion methane fee that they're going to tax natural gas, which is going to go up 17%. And it's going to be a tax on all Americans, especially in the rural areas. Then you got the $2.5 billion handout to the trial lawyers, Larry, that they get to deduct the expenses. Well, the trial lawyers, well, who do they vote for? And then the $1.7 billion handout for local journalists. Would you call that a bribe? It just amazes me what all they've got. If you just look at the fine print, it says $2 trillion. At the end of the day, I've heard Democrats say in the Senate, we're not going to allow them to say we're going to cut years out of it. And then at the end of the day, we won't be able to get out of those programs. And so this thing's going to end up being $4 to $5 trillion, no matter how you look at it.
Senator Tuberville, if I cover some local news here, I'd like to get a piece of that. What did you say? $2 billion,
sure.
$1.5 billion? I mean, really, yeah. They won't give me. I'm the only person that's not going to get a free Tesla. They won't even give me this tax break for local journalists. I feel picked on, sir. I need some help on this. What about the hypocrisy? This is not a small thing because it cost $230 billion in the first 5 years. The hypocrisy of restoring an $80,000 ceiling for the salt tax write-off. I mean, it's costing it's the single biggest ticket item in the first 5 years, $230 billion or so.
Yeah, it's a giveaway to the blue states up northeast in California. State and local taxes. They just want to give their money back to them so they can get their money in terms of campaign donations. It's the only group in this whole bill that really basically is going to make money out of it. And it's ridiculous. President Trump and the administration that he had at the time, they put this in the tax code. I thought it helped. But obviously the Democrats, they see a way in terms of getting more campaign money, and this is probably the way to get it.
Senator, one of the thoughts in the Trump process in 2017 and during the campaign in 2016 was We take the SALT deduction away because, as you just said, it just subsidizes really a handful of people in the big Democratic blue states. But the idea was take that away, use those revenues to cut marginal tax rates on everybody. Individuals, well-to-do successors, middle-class people, lower-income people, corporations, and small business. That was the point. The Democrats are penalizing success and companies and small business in order to give this a handout to, what, 600 or 700 people?
Yeah, if you look at this bill, Larry, people that are making from $50,000 to $100,000, it's going to only help 4% of those families, 4%. But people that are making $500,000 to $1 million, it's going to help 67% of those families. So where was this? We're not going to tax anybody under $400,000. I mean, that was a lie at the beginning. It was going to be paid for. It's not going to be paid for. And you're probably not going to bring this up, but this IRS thing just really bugs me. $80 billion to the IRS, hiring 80,000 to 100,000 new agents. Larry, did you know that you probably remember this in the 1990s, the IRS went berserk. They were going to corporations. They were going to small businesses. They were going in collecting tax returns. They were going in with weapons. Do you know the IRS at this point has 5 million rounds of ammunition and 5,000 weapons? What do they need that for? And now we're going to add more weaponization to the IRS. I tell you what, it scares me. It scares me to even think about what they're trying to do in the long run with our IRS.
Senator, I didn't know about those numbers. That firearms and ammunition? I didn't know about that. I don't think anybody knows
5 million rounds of ammunition. 5 million rounds of ammunition, the IRS says, and 5,000 weapons. And what do they need that for? And with all this money, they can even weaponize even more. So it scares me to think what this big government socialist agenda is going to do with this kind of money thrown at the IRS and try to collect money from people that's trying to earn it the right way.
Yeah, it's going to be It's going to be an attack on small business and people that own small business. Sir, it's interesting you brought it up. I did have it on my cards, but look at talking to ordinary folks. I don't mean political people or people in government like yourself. Just talking to ordinary folks. This is probably the most hated provision in the entire bill, which itself is unpopular.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I hear about it everywhere I go. That and the IRS having the opportunity to get in your bank account. And I know they threw that out, but the $600 that you spend or deposit goes straight to the IRS. They're going to try to get that back in there at the end of the day. They said they raised it to $10,000, but $10,000 is too much. And used to, $10,000 went to the Treasury Department, the information, not to the IRS. So, again, they're trying to weaponize the IRS as just another form of big government socialism.
Last one, it's only a little bit unfair. Will you all in the Senate block this bill? Will Joe Manchin lead the charge?
Well, here's what's going to happen. The bill will come over to us. Obviously, we'll get it from the House. There's a lot of things in there that more than Joe Manchin and Krista Sinema will go for. And so it will be kicked back to the House. It just depends on what's going to be in it. Manchin's told me all along it's way too expensive. He doesn't like all the years that it's paid out. He doesn't want to start new entitlement programs. They've been twisting his arm for the last, 4 or 5 months. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be a long December, Larry, and we'll probably go right up to Christmas, even maybe a little bit after Christmas, and we might even work through Christmas, but that's fine. If we can block any of this and keep it from going to the American people where they have to pay more taxes, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'd love to run it through Christmas. I'm sorry. You always have a place at the Kudlows if you need some Christmas shelter. Run it through Christmas and don't pass it at all. I mean, Manchin said, because inflation is still rising, why don't we pause? Why don't we pause well into next year, Senator Tuberville?
Why do we need it now? We've got way too much money out there. Inflation's going sky high. They need to settle down and just understand that the American people don't want it. But, Larry, they got one more year. They're going to try to get as much of this big government socialism in the American government as soon as they can, as fast as they can, because they know that they're absolutely going to get killed next November by doing all this stuff.